saw that it was good. And Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. So now, in addition to literally speaking, water being moved, which indicates that the whole earth was covered with water, but now the water is being moved and dry land appearing, now he brings life or existence to the vegetation. Okay? Which we know and understand that the vegetation begins with a seed. Grass, plants, trees, all begin with a seed. So in other words, when we go back, when it said Abraham left his father's house, and this being in the year 2023, here's what needs to register. A sower went forth to sow. Food for thought. Going back to verse 11 again. And Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after its kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so. And the earth brought forth. So now, the command went forth, Elohim said, and the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind, and Elohim saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. So, he tells us that during the years 2001 to 3000, the third millennium of humanity's existence, something was going to be implanted in the earth. Now, when we think about the epitome of what took place, it was the giving of HaTorah. The giving of the Torah was that event. Okay? So the vegetation, which was created on the third day, needs help to grow, which leads us to the fourth millennium, during which we learn the following. Now let's pay close attention. Verse 14, Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. And Elohim said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs. First and foremost, let them be for signs. In other words, let's go back up. Let there be light in the firmament of the heavens. Now when it says the firmament of the heavens, all we need to do, look up in the sky. Where do these lights sit? Where do these lights dwell? Ask yourself that question. Okay? But it's very important that we realize that the first and most important thing of this, now literally speaking, he created these lights. But now prophetically speaking, they're for signs. They're supposed to teach us something. In addition to, let us continue. Let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. So in addition to the lights he sets in the firmament of the heavens, in addition to them being used for the seasons, for the days, for the years, the first thing he wants to relate to us is that they will be signs. Keep that in mind. Verse 15. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. Now, here's a question. Why were these lights created on the fourth day? Think about that. Because everything that the Most High has inspired to be written by his Spirit is written for a purpose, and there is a teaching there. So think about that. Why were these lights created on the fourth day? Now, when you think about it, look at the board for me. You have 7 days. Now, of course, 7 is an odd number. So that means that it can be divided equally. You have 3 on one side, you have 3 on another side, so that the fourth day falls right in the middle, right in between. That's very significant. Okay? Very important. Keep that in mind. Verse 16, first part. It says, and Elohim made 2 great lights. Why 2 great lights? And keep in mind, once again, my brothers and my sisters, if you're familiar with the Hebrew, if you're following along as a Bible student, research these passages. 2 great lights. 2 great lights. Continuing. The greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. Now think about this. When we go back up in chapter 1, it tells us that there was evening and there was morning. First day, there was evening and there was morning. Second day, and there was evening and there was morning. Third day, emphasis being this, that when we look at a day, a 24-hour period, it begins with the night and ends with the daylight. So, since the lesser light and the stars rule the night, and a day begins during the night, does this teach that a lesser light would rule first, only to be followed by a greater light? That's one thing. Now think about the moon, because the sun is that greater light, the moon is that lesser light. So think about the moon and ask yourself this question. Does the moon have light of its own? No, it doesn't. The moon is a reflector. In other words, what we find happening is that during the night, when it begins the month, we see that first sliver. See, when the moon begins to function for the purpose with which it was created, to give light to the earth, when we see that first sliver of light, that's when we know to count the first day of the month. Okay? But as the month progresses and the moon becomes fuller, what it does, it's reflecting the light of the sun. So in other words, during the evening or during the night, in order so that we can get the light of the sun, the moon serves as a proxy, a representative of a greater light that was going to come. Okay? But keep in mind, it was during the 4th day that these lights were made. Okay? Let's move on. Verse 17. And Elohim set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And Elohim saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the 4th day. Now here's the question we have to ask ourselves. We already went through briefly what took place during the 3rd day or the 3rd millennium. Okay? What now takes place during the 4th millennium? To substantiate everything that we have been talking about up to this point. So what we got so far is that there are going to be 2 great lights and the stars. So you have 3 different things. You have the greater light, which is the sun. You have the lesser light, which is the moon. And you have the stars. So something takes place during the 4th millennium that pertains to a greater, a lesser, and the stars. Question, what was it?